My teacher asked me to make up a sentence using the word defense, defeat, and detail. So I said, when a horse jumps over defense, defeat go first, then detail.
I knew it was gonna be something dumb like that. I am here today with my favorite friend located in Chicago. So we're my favorite hometown heroes that I honored months and months ago when we were all about saying, hey, look, we love our healthcare workers. And honestly, I still do. This is Kyra. She's a medical healthcare worker in Chicago. We've been friends for what, 15, 3,000 years? I don't know, something around there. Welcome to Q's Corner. And how are you doing today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here to do this. Well, to be here apart, of course, because I'm
Of
here and you're
course.
there.
All right. Let's talk about you. What would you like the world to know about who Kyra is?
Well, I don't want to write a book for anybody, but I want to keep it simple. I'm passionate about healthcare. I'm passionate about, most importantly, Black women in healthcare, working in healthcare, um, needing healthcare. There's so much fear and stigma and paranoia that comes up when I talk to some of my friends that have had kids or they want to have kids or just their general health overall. So I'm definitely passionate about those things for sure. Top of the list. And then the basics, some millennial fun, some nerdy things, a little video gaming and Doctor Who, but you know, we're here for other good stuff.
Right, right. We're here to honor women. And of course, you are a woman in healthcare, a Black woman in healthcare, might I add. And that's fantastic. I have a little person, and, that was a big concern is going to the hospital and Monica making it out alive because there was
Exactly.
some issue there where a lot of Black women are harmed or don't make it when they
Yeah.
have children. Can you tell me about your experience as a healthcare worker during this pandemic?
Well, I could definitely say this has been an experience, not one I would have thought of, could have dreamed of. Stephen King could have wrote for me, any of that, because this definitely been an eye opener on how well people react to global scale, really getting in the trenches and just doing your simple part. Nobody's really asking from the beginning, like nobody was asking for too much of people. Wash your hands, wear a mask, stay home as much as possible. And I feel like a large scale, a lot of people acted like we were asking them to give up their firstborn and shave an eyebrow and donate a kidney. And I'm just like, could y'all please just do the basics, please, so that we can quell this before it gets out of hand. But as we all can see, things snowballed quicker than quick. And it's definitely been a ride being on the inside of things, having insider kind of, I would say insider scoop, but just kind of like have that inside experience being right there in a hospital, but then also having people that don't work in a hospital or don't quite get what it is medically, the science behind it. You definitely come across with people you're like, oh, you weren't paying attention in high school science class. That's all right. We'll walk you
Right,
through this. Take my hand.
right, right.
So, I'm grateful to everybody that was able to do their part. I am grateful that, the people, I'm grateful for the people that are still here. I mourn the losses of the people that aren't. And I just hope that going forward, we can all continue to do our part and do maybe a little bit more in memory of those that didn't get to make it through. And even the people who are still here and aren't quite in top health again. because it's rough for them as also.
Yeah, it's definitely, thinking back on it, I know that I lost my grandmother around this time last year. She had a heart attack and died. And I'm like, I can't imagine what people felt when it was like, having to have a socially distanced funeral or a digital funeral, which my family had to have for my grandmother. That was just like, wow, like millions of people across the world have had to do that in some way, shape, or form. Or entire families died from the pandemic because it was like they couldn't get the healthcare. They had, high risk illnesses or, things that would affect them much more than just a regular Joe. And so, I like to send a lot of love and light to everybody that was lost and, just reflect on that, because regardless of how you cut it, regardless of how you put it, there's a lot of people who died, and it's really sad. It's really sad.
Yeah, I've definitely seen my fair share of articles where either there was one where it was parents and then their 5-year-old son. The son is still alive, but both the parents are dead. Or a wife took a job in a nursing home because her husband has Alzheimer's. The nursing home, of course, closed, but with his Alzheimer's, it was the best thing for him was the constant of seeing his wife, but with everything being closed, that wasn't feasible. So she took a job as a dishwasher inside the nursing home so she could at least see him. And that, who knows what her life was like outside of that. Maybe she was retired, or maybe she was working something else and maybe she had to quit that job. Who knows? But that's a big change in your life. You're already dealing with an ill family member. Now you have a global pandemic and you still want to be able to be in contact with them, but safe. It's hard.
Yeah. I can't even imagine having to do that. Like, she literally gave up whatever she was doing to make sure that she was there with her husband because of restriction. Yeah. It's really sad. Yeah. But let's not get too deep into making it sad.
Down the rabbit hole.
So today, of course, we are using Q's Corner to make sure we honor women all month long. So I want to ask, why is Women's History Month important to you?
I think Women's History Month is important to me because it brings a good reminder of how strong, how resilient, how innovative women are. You see a lot of times you get the strong mother archetype, the mom, she's holding the baby, vacuuming, cooking dinner, and running kids to practice and everything. But I think there's so much more to being a woman than just being a mother or being a wife. There's so many facets. Like, sure, absolutely. If being a stay-at-home mom is your jam, I'm 100% behind you for that, because if that's what makes you happy, you should be able to do that and give your all to your family. It's no shame in that at all. But I also like to applaud the women who take a harder path and don't, go by what society says. Oh, you're just a baby maker. You're gonna have some kids. We're gonna get married. No, I'm gonna be out here blazing a trail, grinding away, so that way other young girls, other young boys, anybody is seeing that you don't have to fit into a box to be successful. You don't have to fit into a box to make a difference. Every role you play in society, whether you may feel like your role is just there in your family or your role is at a Fortune 500 company, it makes a difference. Anybody that sees you at any level, you can impact them. And I think it's important to remind people, like, women, we get stuff done. Like, you put us in charge, you're gonna have everything you wanted and more. So I think it's important to have that reminder.
Yeah, it's extremely important to have that reminder. And it goes back to what I say all the time. What I'm all about is representation is key. If women are not out there doing X, Y, and Z, Amethyst is not going to feel like she can do X, Y, and Z. So it's extremely important to make sure that representation is there. And speaking of, kids and growing up, who was a woman that inspired you as you were growing up?
I would always say top notch is definitely my mom. My mom is like number one in my corner, go getter. Like even when I'm in my head or something I'm good at, like I've always been really good in school. So even when I got worked up about projects or an assignment, something that I may have had in class, and I, get home to do your homework, my mom's like, "Well, you had it. Just teach it back to me. You have the information there. It's just a review." She's always there with the right words to put me back on track. Nothing is like, "Oh, well, why didn't you get it?" or something, disheartening. Never like that. It's always been, "This is what's in you. All you have to do is just take a breath and just remember what the steps were, and you have it." And of course, always I was coming out with good grades, so I never felt like I didn't have somebody cheering me on. For sure, she's always been like number one. She's a great inspiration to me.
Yeah, my mom is the same way. I she likes to tell her story as well as I do, and she was young when she had me, and she will always tell people is that, like, if you know us, if you know me, you know that me and her are pretty close in age. And she joined the military, did that for 21, 23 years, said, "Hey, I'm going to make sure that I take care of my kid, my family, and do what's necessary to ensure that everything's taken care of." And even to this day, being 32 years old, I'm always like, "Hey, mom," talking to her about whatever. Me and Amicus call her every single day to ensure that we see her, and of course we have conversations. And given that we're both in real estate now, like, I always call her like, "Hey, this is what's going on in my life. What advice do you have for me, or what should I do in this situation?" Especially when I'm dealing with military people or VA buyers like I am right now. So I definitely can say that I'm on the same wavelength when it comes to mom being an inspiration through and through.
Yeah, for sure. I can remember my mom used to do corporate travel. So she was getting up in the morning, traveling downtown. My dad was taking me to school, and then she'd pick me up. But there was probably some point, and it was like 5, 6 years old. She always tells this story because I don't remember it. But I said to her, like, "No, we don't spend enough time together." But a lot of our time was spent together already. But I guess in my kid brain, it wasn't enough. So probably no more than a year after that, she decided to leave corporate travel and she got into real estate. So I spent a lot of my junior high, grade school time, after she passed her test and everything, I went on showings with her. And so I watched her work, and it was great. She had a group of investors, like 5 or 6 guys. She took around to like these run down, sketchy rehab houses. Like, is this step gonna hold? Is this door gonna open? And it never like endanger anything, but kind of stay outside. Look, is this house? Can you even go in here? Type of situations. But she was a boss through it all. Like, have her nice pantsuit on, put her sneakers on. She'd take the guys through. If she couldn't get so far in, she'd say, "Okay, well, you go up here, and there's another room, there's a bathroom." And so she was never afraid. She was just doing her job. And then no matter the circumstances, how bad the house, how nice the house, you would think even in year one, she'd be doing it for 10, 15 years. And she was amazing to watch.
Yeah, I wish I was like that. Like, it seemed like I had been in business for forever. I'm a young agent in the business trying to do something, and the pandemic has not made it easier for me. But moms are beautiful. They always give us really good examples of how to be and who to be. So, what do you see as your most cherished accomplishment in the last year?
I think in the last year, just taking taking a hold of my continued journey through school. Like I get a lot of like in my head about like, can I do this? Can I handle being a nurse? Like the schooling education has never been like a challenge for me. Like of course there's challenges, there's parts that are hard, but for so many years, like everything just was smooth, just come easy. Like, oh, I whip this out, whip this paper out, whip this experiment out. But now it's kind of like, okay, I apply a little more force. But then sometimes I get in my head, I'm like, okay, well, can I do this? I should have been done with school already. All my friends are done, or they found different things they're interested in. And I'm still kind of here like, hey guys, I'm still trying to get this one degree down, but I've just determined, like I started this and I'm just determined to see it through. There's no stopping me. And no matter what I feel like somebody else's journey is, I just have to remind myself everybody's road is different. So mine's just taking me a little bit longer, and maybe that's for a reason, and that's fine. So this past year, just taking control of that, that's been my biggest thing.
Yeah, one thing that I have to remind myself is like I have to trust my journey. My goals are not someone else's. My endeavors are not someone else's. Everything that happens to do with me is all about me. I can't compare myself to some big time agent that's been in the business for 30 years. I also can't compare myself to some agent that just started yesterday and they already got, something in escrow or a listing or whatever. So, that's a good reminder to make sure that we focus on us rather than focusing on what everybody else is doing.
Because what's for you will find you.
Right, exactly. So what is your final piece of wisdom for women and men watching this video?
I think my final piece would be to just in general, one, be kinder to each other as a whole. Everybody, pandemic on top of and aside, everybody's going through something. You just never know. And if you just take the time to either have a kind word for someone rather than a snarky response, you may find that gives that person a little more breathing room for the day, something to take the weight of the world off their shoulders, and to never underestimate each other based on how you identify with your gender, with your sex, whatever you are wherever you fall on the spectrum, however you feel you want to be addressed. Don't ever underestimate somebody by what you see, because we as humans are a lot stronger. And not even underestimating each other, don't underestimate yourself also, because if you have a dream, something you're passionate about, pursue it, because as long as you're still breathing, you can still achieve it.
That's amazing. You always have great things to say, and I'm sure you would say the same thing about me.
Of course,
hold on a second. My child is being loud. She was behind me, and I wanted so bad to be like, hey, dude, get on here.
She did good though. We made it through most of it.
Yeah, we made it through most. Thank you so much for letting me interview with you today. As I always tell everybody, especially on Facebook, you are my favorite nurse. You will always be my favorite nurse in the city of the Shy. But again, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You are absolutely helping me make sure I'm honoring women this month during Women's History Month. We had a great conversation, and I hope that you'll be on Q's Corner again in the future.
I would love to. I'm so honored to have been able to do this with you.
What do sprinters eat before a race?
Sprinters eat before a race. Oh. I know as soon as you say it, it's gonna be something simple. Oh gosh. I don't know. Tell me.
Nothing. They fast.
I knew it. I knew.